War is usually easy to recognize. It has soldiers, weapons, borders, and clear enemies. It destroys cities and leaves visible scars. But the most powerful war shaping the modern world looks nothing like that. It has no armies marching and no bombs falling. No borders are crossed and no territory is officially taken, yet its impact is just as real. Countries lose control, governments bend under pressure, and millions of lives change direction without a single shot being fired. This is a paradox of our time, a war that causes damage without violence and victory without invasion. In this new kind of war, finance is the battlefield. Money replaces missiles, debt replaces force, and power moves silently through systems, markets, and institutions. What once required weapons now requires confidence, leverage, and control. For most of history, power was measured in soldiers and steel. Nations expanded by sending armies across borders, taking land, resources, and labor by force. Conquest was direct and visible, but over time, this method became costly. Wars drained treasuries, destroyed infrastructure, and created resistance that never fully disappeared. Holding territory required endless spending, and the rewards often failed to match the price. As economies grew more connected, power began to change its shape. Money moved faster than armies, and influence proved more effective than occupation. Instead of invading countries, powerful states learned to shape decisions from a distance. Loans replaced legions, trade replaced tribute, and pressure replaced violence. Control no longer required taking land. It only required shaping the systems that land depended on to survive. Debt rarely arrives as a threat. It enters as support, as opportunity, as help offered in times of need. A loan promises stability, growth, or recovery. But once accepted, the balance of power begins to shift. Lending creates control, not through force, but through obligation. A country that owes money must consider its creditors before it considers its people. Budgets are shaped to meet payments. Policies are adjusted to maintain confidence. Decisions that once reflected national priorities begin to reflect financial pressure. Over time, owing money changes behavior. Choices narrow, risks are avoided, and independence becomes conditional. No land is taken, no flag is lowered, yet freedom quietly erodes. Nations do not lose territory, but they lose room to act. This is how debt becomes a weapon, silent, legal, and deeply effective. Money works only because people believe in it. A currency has value not because of paper or numbers, but because millions agree to trust it. They believe it will be accepted tomorrow, next month, and next year. This trust gives money power. Some currencies hold more of this trust than others, and those become reserve currencies. They are used to trade oil, settle debts, and store national savings. Countries that issue these currencies gain quiet dominance. They can borrow more easily, pay lower interest, and shift pressure onto others. When a powerful currency speaks, markets listen. Weaker currencies must obey. They must protect reserves, defend exchange rates, and adjust policies to survive. This is why some currencies command obedience, not through force, but through confidence. Trust becomes authority, and money becomes a tool of influence felt across borders without a single command being spoken. In the modern financial war, power no longer wears uniforms. It operates through institutions. Banks decide who receives credit and who is cut off. Investment funds choose where money flows and where it disappears. Rating agencies issue judgments that can raise or destroy a nation's reputation overnight. These decisions are not enforced with weapons, but their effects are just as strong. A downgrade can make borrowing suddenly expensive. A loss of confidence can freeze investment. Capital can leave a country faster than any army could enter it. This is how decisions are enforced without force. Punishment comes through markets, through falling currencies, rising interest rates, and shrinking economies. No orders are given, yet governments comply. The threat is invisible, but the pressure is constant, and resistance carries a heavy price. Everything in the financial system depends on trust, and when that trust breaks, the damage spreads quickly. Investors pull their money out, not slowly, but all at once. Capital flight drains reserves and weakens the currency. Imports become expensive, prices rise, and inflation eats into daily life. Governments are forced to respond under pressure. Spending is cut, wages are frozen, and taxes are raised. This process is called austerity, but for ordinary people, it feels like loss. Jobs disappear, services decline, and uncertainty becomes normal. All of this happens without invasion. No enemy crosses a border, yet the country begins to collapse from within. The economy shrinks, politics destabilize, and social tension rises. Trust breaks, and the system turns against itself. Proving that destruction no longer requires war in the traditional sense, the financial system presents itself as neutral, as if outcomes are the result of fair rules applied equally to everyone. But the results tell a different story. Those who control capital, who own debt and assets, benefit from stability and growth. Those who depend on wages and public services absorb the shocks when the system tightens. Gains flow upward, while losses spread outward. Participation in this system is not optional. Every country must trade, borrow, and use global money to survive. Every government must satisfy markets to function. There is no true exit and no safe distance. Because of this, neutrality becomes a myth. The system does not stand above society, it shapes it. And while it claims to reward discipline and efficiency, it consistently protects those already positioned at the top. While presenting the outcome as inevitable rather than chosen, this financial war has no clear ending because it has no final victory. There is no moment of surrender and no treaty that brings lasting peace. The goal is not to win, but to maintain balance. As long as markets remain stable and trust continues, the system is considered successful. Peace, in this sense, does not mean justice or fairness. It means predictability. It means that payments continue, debts roll over, and confidence holds. When balance begins to slip, pressure increases. Interest rates rise, conditions tighten, and adjustments are forced. Then stability returns, and the cycle continues. This creates endless pressure, not to resolve the conflict, but to manage it. The war never ends because it is not designed to end. It is designed to continue, quietly shaping the world through constant financial strain. Most people never see this financial war directly, but they feel it every day. It appears in higher taxes, rising prices, and uncertain jobs. Savings lose value as inflation grows. Wages fail to keep up with costs. Retirement plans depend on markets that can shift without warning. These pressures are not accidents. They are the way the system passes its weight downward. The war reaches daily life through small, constant changes that slowly add up. Families adjust budgets, workers accept insecurity, communities lose services. These sacrifices are rarely acknowledged because they are invisible. There is no announcement, no emergency declaration. The cost is paid quietly over time by people who never chose to fight but must live with the consequences. There is no single enemy behind this financial war. No one nation, institution, or group controls it alone. The system is larger than any individual player. It is sustained by belief, by the shared trust that money will hold value, that debts will be honored, and that the rules will continue to work tomorrow. As long as this belief remains, the war stays invisible and manageable. But this also means the system is fragile. It exists only as long as we trust it. If confidence fades, the pressure that once felt distant becomes immediate. Numbers lose meaning, promises break, and stability disappears. The financial war does not need weapons because belief is enough to keep it alive.